Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 8 of Cup of Tea. Yes, coming live. Well, not live, but
Kind of live.
coming from Skype. Um,
Hmm.
just trying to take this all in. Obviously, it's crazy times right now. We're in the middle of COVID-19, and it's manic times, obviously, and we're all going through it. Today on the show, thank you for joining me. I have Mithu Surendra, a transformational coach, a great friend of mine, and we've worked together before. He's helped me with my acting in a couple of films that I've done. Um, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity for him to come on the Cup of Tea show. Obviously, the whole climate right now is COVID-19. People are going through anxious thoughts, anxiety, depression. There's horrific times, and I think being in isolation has not served people too good. It's a Obviously there's some people that not much has changed because they stay in anyway. But I think with the majority of people, a lot of people are struggling with being in closed doors. And I've got Mithu on the show today to talk a little bit about anxiety in general and really go in depth on anxiety, what it is, and I have some questions that have been brought in from that have been typed in from some of the people I know online on Instagram for me to ask Mithu, and we're going to get to that. So in this interview, we are going to cover anxiety in a general sense, but we're also going to cover anxiety in the sense of what we're going through right now, COVID-19. So we're going to do both halves. It's going to be an in-depth interview, and I'm really looking forward to it. Before I get to that, I'm just going to let Mithu talk a little bit about himself, just so you don't think it's some random guy that's just come on doing it. Mithu is a great guy and such an inspirational guy. Mithu, I'm going to give the floor to you now, just to
Yeah,
tell the viewers of Cup of Tea a little bit about yourself and your background and what it is you do.
cool. So to put it simply, like I've been living my whole life for the most part until I came across something. Like for most of my childhood, for most of my adult life, I was living in anxiety and depression, in this like mental health. And I was struggling a lot personally until I reached a point where I no longer could live in this way. And only when I reached, to that like threshold, did I kind of burst and like find the way out. And by finding the way out and finding the techniques and the tools and the teachings I started living this new way of life, and I personally started to transform. And then when I started to transform, people
Just
saying,
losing you a little
how
bit.
do you do this in your soul? Oh, can you hear me?
Losing you a little bit. The audio just went a little bit there.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's. I think that's a bit better. Yeah. Sorry.
It might be my reception. Anyway, yeah, by helping, by kind of doing this myself, people started asking me for help, and then that's how I became a coach and started doing it professionally, and now we're here.
Mm.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you.
Mm.
So the way we're going to get into this interview, people have
Mhm.
sent in some questions about anxiety. I put it up on Instagram, and they sent in some questions for me to ask you. So I'm going to throw those at you. I just want to get straight into it. We're
Mhm.
going to talk about general anxiety. We're going to cover anxiety. We're going to cover panic attacks. We're going to go into all those details. And I've also got a question that I've added here myself on this. So first, we're going to start with anxiety in a general sense. Okay, so we're going to get into that first. And then the second half of the interview, we're going to talk a little bit about how anxiety correlates to what we're
Mhm.
going through in the current climate now, COVID-19, the coronavirus, all that stuff, being in isolation. So a very interesting first question came in from someone from Instagram, and the first question. But before we get into that, Mithu, can I just
Mm.
let's actually talk. I think that from a mental health specialist like yourself, the definition
Mhm.
of anxiety will be a lot more. Well, I think that sometimes the definition of anxiety can change, and it can be this on the internet, but this from one of your friends, or
Mhm.
this from it could. There's a few different definitions of anxiety and what exactly
Mhm.
it is. Can you firstly, before we get into the questions, tell us what you would characterize anxiety as in a general scope?
So, in terms of symptoms, it varies person to person, obviously, and the intensity obviously varies situation by situation, person to person, right? We all experience a different life. What I would say is anxiety is a state where you are in a flight or fight kind of mode, and you kind of either freeze up and you no longer have full conscious control over yourself. And something triggered you, and in that moment, you don't like your brain thinks that your life is in danger, and therefore you get hijacked by this survival mechanism, and that is anxiety. That is when you freeze up, you start sweating, your brain can't think properly, your mind is racing, you're looking to kind of run away, you're like maybe twitchy, or you just completely freeze, or like it's your brain's been hijacked. That's pretty much what anxiety is. And during the course of this video, during some of the questions, I will explain exactly how to let go of these feelings, and how it's completely natural. So if you do experience it, like, it's completely normal, it's completely natural. Even as a coach now, I still get anxiety every now and then. It's normal.
Happens to everyone. Happens to everyone. Yeah, no one's immune.
Literally.
No one's immune. Unbelievable. All right, thank you. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. We're going to jump into the first question from Instagram. How can you tell the difference between intuition and anxiety?
Okay. So intuition is something that you feel when you're calm. Like it just flows through you. Like right now, an intuitive thought can come out, or the way I speak is kind of intuitive. It's just natural. It's just flowing, right? We're just having a normal conversation. It's just intuitive. But let's say maybe it was the first time we're recording an episode, or the first time we know we're going to be on YouTube, or the first time, like the first time we're acting, for example, the first time I'm coaching or whatever, then chances are we're not going to have our intuition. We're going to have our anxiety. So the main difference is like your feeling to do with it. Like intuition would make you feel lighter, and anxiety based thought or feeling would make you feel heavier. So you got to sink into it and see.
Ooh, okay, got you. Great answer there. Okay, second one. I was gonna go through and say this is from Instagram. They're all from Instagram. Okay, it's not like we have one from Facebook and one from WhatsApp. We have from Instagram.
All from Insta.
Yeah, all from Insta. Okay, so the second question, Mithu, is how can I find a balance between confidence and being grounded?
Okay, so I think many people mistake arrogance for confidence. And there are a lot of people who are arrogant, right? Because we're not taught how to be confident normally in school. So what our mind does, it kind of picks up on, if I behave in this way, if I behave in that way, then I look confident. So I'm going to do that. That's what the mind kind of does. And a lot of people build kind of like an arrogance. Whereas confidence in a grounded sense means you are knowing of yourself. You know your weaknesses. You know your strengths. You know when you're uncomfortable. So you can even say, you could even say, like, if you're out socializing, or you're recording a video, you can even just say, you know what, I feel a bit anxious right now, and that kind of grounds you, and then you're confident. Versus if you don't feel that way, or like when you do feel that way and you're not willing to be authentic, then the arrogance comes out, and that's not grounded. That's very in the brain, not in the body.
Yes, it's that inner authenticity, isn't it?
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Perfect. So we're going to move on to question 3. I constantly overthink my past and all my regrets. I struggle to live in the present, and it keeps me awake at night.
Okay.
That's a deep one.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's like a statement. So I'm guessing the question is, how do I get over it? Yeah.
Yes.
So
yeah, exactly. Yes. It's I think it's where someone almost doesn't know how to phrase it. So it's just, here's my problem. What do I, here's my problem.
What do I do? Yeah.
I think they're confused as to maybe why this has hit them so hard in the first place.
Yeah. could you just repeat
Yeah,
every
absolutely.
part of the question as well?
So I constantly overthink my past
Yeah,
and all my regrets. I
yeah,
struggle to live in the present and it
yeah.
keeps me awake at night. So
Okay.
it seems like they
Yeah.
are constantly reliving past events, maybe trauma or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
all the regrets, everything they wish they hadn't done, or the things they
Mm-hmm.
wish they should have done, or and they're struggling to live in the right now and
Mm-hmm.
appreciate modern like day right now,
Yeah.
and it seems that that's keeping them from sleeping.
Okay. So the first thing you should do, this is completely, first of all, like it's completely normal, and everyone has it. So the first thing you should do is pause the video right now, go grab a pen and paper, and then come back and then unpause this video. Literally, that is it. Go and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Then you write down that you accept that you feel regret. You literally just say, I accept that I feel regret. Then you experience a lightness in your body. Again, it's all about that intuition and coming back to that feeling in the body. And then when you accept that I feel regret, then you can go to the next level, which is I regret X, I regret Y, I regret Z. And like you just like bring awareness to that. And you feel that lightness in your body, you feel it, and you let go and let go. I recommend, getting a third, like getting someone to actually help you, to guide you through this, because doing it on my own was always the hardest. But
Yeah.
anytime I got someone else to help me do it,
Yeah.
it was always easier.
Yeah.
But just do, like, go into it, get into the lightness of the body, and just start accepting. Like, start from there, because the resistance makes it harder. So start from accepting.
Mm-hmm. Can you control what you think about? I don't. You can't. No.
No, I mean,
You
because
can only accept, can't you?
yeah, you can only. It's like, 'cause we can control it when we do more of this work. We have more control over our thoughts and feelings, right?
Yeah.
Because we have more awareness and consciousness. Like when, like 5 years ago, our brain was just scrambling random stuff. Like even now, like our brains are just scrambling random stuff. Like
Yeah.
even after doing a lot of work, it is.
A puzzle.
It's just yeah, and it scrambles less and less and less as I do more and more of this work. And I'm sure you've experienced the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
And our friend Ali, he also practices work quite deeply. Like he experienced the same thing. So the more we practice it, the more we meditate and go into it and let go of the past, and not forget, but accept and own and love that part of us again.
Yeah.
Because all it is just a part of us that's like dying to be heard. And when we go and hear that part, that anxious part that's like, I regret this, I was scared of this, that thing hurt me, whatever it is, like we go listen and boom, free.
Yeah. Okay.
I love this.
Well, great. It's great. Some great questions, and I think it's going to help a lot of people as well. Because we're really getting to it. Okay, question 4 is moving on to a slightly different branch. What causes panic attacks, and how should I deal with them?
So in terms of actual science, I'm not fully aware, but it's just, again, like the way I look at it is from the point of parts. Like as a psyche, I like to split it up, and I say, okay, so if there's a part of you that feels like a situation is so difficult right now that you are feeling so anxious that you are having a panic attack, like you're struggling to breathe and it's literally like life or death, if that's how it feels, then go and listen to that part of you. Because we bring up these different parts of ourselves in different situations. Like who we are in this call is different to who we are with our parents, to who we are with specific different friends, or who we are here or who we are there. Like whatever is the most authentic there, we bring that out. And in a situation where we're triggered into a panic attack, completely normal, we go and figure out that part. And we say, okay, we sit down, we say, okay, why do you feel this way? We literally like almost like we're crazy. But this exercise works, right? I do it to myself, I teach my clients, it works. So you pull up a chair next to you and you sit on one chair, and you literally talk to that. Imagine that part is opposite you, and you ask, okay, so why do you feel this way? and then you write down, like, your brain will just say it. It will just it will feel like that part is there, and it will just tell you exactly why that part of you is scared.
Mm-hmm.
So it could say, okay, I had a panic attack when I went to a job interview. Okay, that part might say, I'm scared of not getting the interview. I'm scared of getting rejected. Oh, why? When did it happen last time? Oh, I was scared when so-and-so made fun of me when I was 12 years old in this lesson at school, blah, blah, blah. So it's just listening to that part and getting to the root cause and releasing it from there.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to the causes of panic attacks, okay, I've read a lot about it. Can be, can it be derived from overthinking things? Can it be derived from ruminating about certain events in your life? And can you can ego? I think there's, I've dealt with, I've had panic attacks before, and it's not nice, I'll tell you that much. But it seems like sometimes you can just have a panic attack without sort of any negative thoughts or anything like that, and then sometimes they can come on as a direct sort of effect of overthinking things and being in your head and worrying about certain things. So when it comes to just waking up and just feeling anxious and being in a state of panic, some people would ask, well, how is it possible that I can just have a panic attack without thinking or feeling anything negative? Like, how does it just come on? Like, where's that coming from? Is that coming from a subconscious place where I don't even know I'm traumatized by something I didn't even pick up on? Or
yeah, definitely. Like you said, like, we get traumatized. Like, everyone experiences trauma. Like, no matter how incredible and grateful we are for our parents and our, whoever looked after us when we were kids, whatever school we went to, whatever teacher, like, everyone experiences trauma to some extent. It's not, trauma doesn't have to be this huge, like, catastrophic event. It could literally be like, if you were 3 years old and you were just playing around with your cousins, and then your mum just shouted at you for making too much noise, for example. Like, trauma could be as basic as that, because in that moment, for that 3-year-old, it would have felt like, oh my God, I just got shouted at in front of everyone. But would we consciously remember that? No, of course not. It just gets stored in our brain. And the reason being, very quickly, is because until 7 years old, our brains are very, very malleable, and everything gets stored into our subconscious brain. Everything. And that's why, like, trauma, we're super, super sensitive. So everyone is traumatized. It's the human condition. And panic attacks is an extreme version. So I always say, get to the root cause. Don't rely on coping mechanisms for too long. Like, okay, use it if you have to in the moment, like if you're at work or something. But always aim, like, get to the root cause. That's what's helped me. That's what's helped my clients over and over. Because it's permanent. Getting to the root cause and releasing it is permanent. Like, you don't have to keep on doing it. You just do it, and then, okay, next thing, and you go freer and freer.
Okay. Let's move on.
This is fun.
Question. Great answer. Answer. Okay, so the next question. Can you guess where it comes from?
Instagram, maybe.
Hey, how did you know? I have anxiety, but I don't want to talk to anyone about it because I'm scared I might be judged. And I think that this is a really important one, because I think a lot of people will feel like, I although I do feel like a lot of people are starting to take mental health more seriously, I still think there's a minority that don't completely accept it as an issue, So I think this is a great question.
So, shame. Shame is a huge thing, right? So we all feel ashamed about stuff. Like, everyone has things they're ashamed about. And we repress it, and we repress it, and we repress it more and more. And, like, the more we repress it, the more it controls us. So I would just say, try your best to not repress it. Just do something. Like, I've done this with a lot of people, and it's basically, you go on Instagram and you tell everyone the thing. I'm like, just say what it is.
We did that, didn't we? We did that.
Yeah, we remember in Central,
Crazy.
Like, it's the best thing, because in that instant, boom, it's like, this so much. You're so much freer.
It's done.
Yeah.
Weight off your shoulders. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you can, like, once you've removed that shame barrier, like shame acts as a resistance, then you can start working on the anxiety, and it becomes so much easier. You're so much more accepting. So for even, I would also like say do the accept statement. So you can say, I accept that I feel ashamed about my anxiety. A bit of lightness there.
Yeah.
Then you can, I accept that I have anxiety, and you can slowly start accepting it by just saying it, writing it down a little bit, and going into it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Great. Okay, let's
You're
move
welcome.
on. Okay. Interesting
Mm-hmm.
one here. I have anxiety, and I keep
Mm-hmm.
remembering the times when I was happy, and it makes me sad and even depressed sometimes. I
Yeah.
can relate to that because I remember,
Yeah.
sometimes I think back to times when just things were great in my life, and I didn't have all these things, and I didn't have pressure, I didn't have anxiety, maybe I did, but not to the level where, and it makes you a little bit sad that you almost maybe took that for granted and didn't think, oh, I should really relish in such a great time. But I get the
Yeah.
question. Yeah, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. We all think that way. We all look at our past, and we kind of, we like glamorize it, or like we focus on the things that are really good,
On
or
holiday,
like,
yeah.
yeah, so like old friends, or old, like, or maybe exes or whatever. Like, it's just part of the human condition. It's a very normal thing that everyone does. My advice on there, like, one thing I like to do is literally make it practical. So I'm like, okay, wait, what actually happened? Like, what did I actually feel? Was I always happy? Was it just this one little moment that was good? Or like, do I still get these good little moments here and there like that? Like, what's actually going on? And then I ask, okay, why am I looking back at the past? Like, what's bothering me now that my mind wants to go to the past? It's normal when we're not accepting of a current situation. So by getting to that, by doing something called why statement, I think like journaling is such a useful tool. But again, like in a diary, just asking yourself, why don't I want to be here? Or like, why do I want to focus on the past? Or why was it better than my life is now? Like, you start you just like unwrap this, and like peeling the layers of the onion, and you get to that root cause. You get to that, what's really going on, and then we can fix it there. That's the real fix.
Okay, and the last question is one that I've spoken to about with a few people. This is a question that I did myself. And I wrote this down because I genuinely didn't know the answer to. So I'm not necessarily clued up on the medication side of anxiety, but this is something that I think maybe might help some people who's looking for maybe if medication is the right way for them. But my question is medication, i.e. SSRIs, an effective way of managing anxiety? From I guess that would be from more of a medical standpoint, but and I know that's not your thing, but I don't know if you know about anything from a psychological point in that. Do you know of any effective medication?
So I know people who've taken medication for anxiety, and people who've also decided to stop, or like I know it from people in my community, and what they say is that medication numbs it, whereas using our mind to get to the root cause, to relieve it permanently, relieves them from the anxiety, from the original pain forever. But medication is like numbing it,
delaying
more and more. Yeah, like just keeping it there. It doesn't release that thing and let it just go, because once it's gone, it's gone, and it goes bit by bit by bit. But that being said, if it's really, really bad and it's like you can't even survive, then maybe you need it. It's normal, maybe you can do both. Maybe, okay, medication to help cope, maybe, listen to your doctor at the end of the day, and then at the same time try and do these like what I call spiritual practices, or like these psychological things where you can go into your childhood trauma and figure it out. Like, understand yourself. We are our own best doctors.
You have to look in ourselves first. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, great. So we are going to move on now, Mithu, to anxiety in relation to COVID-19. Obviously, we're here in London, and we've been in lockdown now for, has it been over 2 weeks now or something like that? Something like that.
I think nearly 3 weeks, isn't it?
Nearly 3 weeks now, yeah. Obviously, we're allowed our one exercise a day. Apparently, some people are milking that. I don't know to what extent, but obviously, just a note: stay home. If wherever you can, stay home, because that is the most important thing. And obviously, right now, a lot of people, talking about we're young and it won't affect us, but we are young, and I think that being younger, you might have a stronger immune system. So maybe the symptoms, if you do have the virus, the symptoms might not be as prevalent in a young person. So you might have the confidence to just go out and not knowing that you have the virus, and you might spread it to someone that it really can affect. So I think the message here really is to, of course, stay home. Yeah. But of course, with staying home, that nothing is easy. And I think being in isolation is a tough concept, and it's become realistic for everyone being in lockdown now. And it's not I think the interesting thing here is it's not just the UK, it's so many
countries. The whole world.
Yeah, it's the whole world. It's a pandemic, so I by the time I got to these questions, I think I only had 2 of them were from people online, because we got to it late. I said, I know you and I had a conversation, we had the anxiety questions from a while ago, but then we said, let's throw in how it relates to COVID. So a lot of these questions I did them myself, but a few of them, I think 2 of them are from people online. But we'll get straight into them. So the first question is, being in isolation has worsened my anxiety, and I feel like I'm just always in my head. And that is definitely, I think, understandable, because you're just in these 4 walls, and what else do you have, So I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, 100%. I really like this question, because it's true. Because every day, what people are used to is that, that work, life, come home, wake up, that routine and that numbing of it. So now, when there's no routine and there's no numbing, you have to face that fucking shit, that hell that is there. So you have to go there. You have no choice. So now is the perfect time to actually go inside. It's like, this is an opportunity. And it's perspective. So this is either an opportunity or a problem. And there's an actual quote, like a Stoic quote, that's like, the opportunity is in the problem. And it's okay, it's COVID, it's lockdown. Cool. Where's the opportunity? What can I do? Oh, there's this shit coming up in my brain. Okay, let me sit down. Let me investigate. Let me go journal. If you can't go outside, go inside.
Hey.
Pow, pow, pow. I got the buzz.
Insta.
Come on. What's the next one?
Next question. Fantastic. Okay. Next question. What should I do if I constantly worry about contracting the virus, or one of my loved ones contracting it?
So I would recommend doing this with someone, because if you've never done this kind of work before, it's going to be impossible to do it. But basically, it's an exercise where you trigger that pain. So you actually imagine going into it, and you imagine all the bad things that you are so paranoid of happening, just happening. And then when those feelings come up, and we release it with this breath work, we call it pranic breathing. And then when it's released and released and released, you're triggered, and what is this?
Oh, no. Back on, we're back on.
We're back on, boys. When everything's released, then that fear just slowly dissipates. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have any fear whatsoever. Like, a normal amount of fear is completely good. It's if we were just walking around butt naked and like, fuck Corona, I don't care. No, we should have like some sensible, like, okay, stay at home. limit the walking, avoid going to public places too much, keep it to necessities, and carry on with life. Like you said, like with the cup of tea episode, it's good that we decided to carry on.
Mm-hmm.
We just adapted.
Yeah, opportunity. Opportunity.
Literally.
Let's help. Let's help where we can.
100%.
Amazing. Okay. During this period of the coronavirus pandemic, I'm struggling to deal with the uncertainty of the future of the country. Because obviously, I guess things will take a while to get back to normal. Even when I think lockdown is over, I can't imagine people just shaking hands everywhere. I can imagine that it's mentally going to take a toll on people, especially coming out of isolation for a while. I can imagine that anxiety will sort of be heightened during that period when we come out of this. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that because this is worse than 9/11 in terms of shock on the world. Like 9/11 was like, holy shit, what happened, right? But that was like one event in one country, whereas this is like the whole world being handcuffed and not being able to go out, not being able to do anything. And yes, it's a coronavirus pandemic, but I would say it's a loneliness pandemic as well. Like this is where, like, if we're not careful, it will get to you. Like it's got to me a few times here and there, especially at the beginning. I'm being completely real. Like it will get to you. I'm lucky that I know the shit I do to help myself. Like it will get to us if we're not careful, if we're not reaching out to people, building connection. So what I say is, don't call it social distancing. Please do not call it that. Call it physical distancing. Yeah. Call it physical distancing.
Yeah.
And reach out to as many people as you feel is healthy and you feel good, and build deep connections with people so that you feel together. That way, that is what matters. So when you do come out of it, that is like when the whole country comes out of it, you still have that connection.
You're almost ahead of the game in a way.
Yeah. Like why wait for, like it's never going to go back to normal. It's always going to be, lockdown will finish, but people will still be scared. People will still be people. Like,
is it a matter of sort of like preparing for the worst, and then it probably won't be the worst, but then you sort of just accept everything under that kind of, Hello? Can you hear me? Mithu?
Yeah. Prepare for the best. Hi, can you hear? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but yes, you're back. I got terrified there for a second.
I
was like,
yeah.
No.
Can you see my video as well?
I can see a video now, yeah. I was like,
Okay, sorted, yeah.
Yeah, so is it a matter of preparing for the worst coming out of lockdown? Or is it like we should think more realistically?
But
I guess we don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, like I mean, one change. I'll tell you one change I made, because it's uncertain times, and I don't want to just say shit for the sake of. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm thinking about it, and it's uncertain times, which means we can't plan long term like we would have 6 months ago. I could be, this is my dreams, this is where I want to go. Whereas we can plan every day. We can plan like the week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but we can't plan like, once lockdown is over, I'm going to go back and do this. Once lockdown is over, I'm going to go do. We can't really do that, but we can start an online business today. For example, we can, if you have a skill in something, you can figure out how to coach people, reach out to people on Facebook, whatever. Like, you do things today, tomorrow, day after. It's impossible to plan long term. It's too uncertain.
Yeah. And I think that helps in terms of being in the present as well, like really tackling it day by day. People worried about the future, but worry about now. I think that's also important. Okay.
100%.
An interesting one. I saw these. I thought this was quite important to throw in. I
Yeah.
don't expect you to know the numbers and stuff like that, but online, I looked at a lot of people were talking on Twitter and Instagram about the increase in domestic violence cases being in isolation. Obviously, I think being in isolation, partners that are living together, think things can get tense around the household, and I think as we've seen that as a result of that, the domestic violence, domestic abuse numbers have increased during the time of isolation, which is absolutely horrific. But the question is, and we'll talk about this together, domestic abuse numbers has risen dramatically. For anyone that might be watching this, that is experiencing domestic abuse due to this isolation period where everyone is at home, and I'm sure tensions are high, what would you advise that person? What actions would you advise that person to take? What would be best for someone who is in isolation and can't really go anywhere? There's nowhere to go, and that is experiencing domestic abuse from their partner. Obviously, from a legal point, you're not, this is not what you do, but from a psychological point, someone that is going through active abuse now, and it's not necessarily it's that happened a long time ago. What does someone do that's going through that abuse now and is being traumatized maybe day in, day out? What action would you recommend them take, maybe from a psychological point of view, from a plan point of view?
So I would say tell someone now, reach out now. Like, okay, you can't be traveling around, but go and stay at a friend's house, go and like figure out something. And I know it's like, oh, there isn't, like, you have to physically keep yourself safe.
Yeah.
That is number one. Like, you have to do that. Then, only then can you start doing the psychological healing, that repair. So first step is physical safety. Then after that, there's journaling exercises, there's going inwards, and there's something called parts work, which I talked about briefly with like, imagine you're pulling up a chair and imagine you're talking to someone there, talking to that part of you that wants, because of course not all of you wants to be there, but there's one part that's like kind of pulled to that relationship or to that situation for some reason, right? And by doing that parts work, we can go and find out, oh, what is, like, why do you keep going back there, or why do you allow us to stay in that situation, whatever it is. Of course, situations are more complicated than that, but there is always that one part that's kind of dragging us there, like if we all have bad habits. Like for me to kick smoking took me a fucking long time, and I had to do parts work to be like, okay, what is taking you to that situation, taking you to that thing. Same thing with any bad habit, any situation where we are not benefiting from, like we're actually getting hurt, especially if you are suffering from domestic abuse. I'm very, very sorry for your situation, but I will never ever tell you you're a victim. I will never say you are I will always say, like, I will look you in your eyes and say, you have the power to take control of your life. Give yourself physical safety. I love you. I don't know you, but I love you. You deserve it. Give yourself that safety first and foremost. Then we can start doing the psychological healing. We can do the parts work. We can do journaling, speaking to people, getting therapy. Like, there's loads of stuff we can do. But yeah.
Man, you went on one there.
Like,
man. That was.
Yeah, man. I can get passionate. Like,
I felt the passion in that one, man. Absolutely, absolutely. Disgraceful, man. The whole domestic abuse thing. I think what you picked up on there is massive. Reach out. I think that's the first thing. You've got to reach out to a friend. Obviously, it's hard times right now in terms of leaving the house and going somewhere. But I think the first thing is keeping that bottled up is only going to make things worse. I think it's so important to tell a trusted friend or family member. And I think that initial reach out of, okay, it's off my chest now, will really help to lighten the load on your shoulders. And start the process of kicking this whole thing, but we'll see. Okay. So last question. It's not really a question. It's more of a summary of everything we've talked about. So the question is, in summary, what are the best coping mechanisms you would advise people to use to manage their anxiety during this time of lockdown and uncertainty?
Okay. Did you say best coping mechanisms? Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is, in summary, what are the best coping mechanisms you would advise people to use to manage their anxiety during this time of lockdown and uncertainty? If you could put together like a bundle package or like a pamphlet and just some key points, the what you would really recommend in very short, if you could just hand it out to people on the street, these are the key points, these are the key points, what would you summarize that as in a little bundle?
So number one is thrive, don't cope. So think about how you can not manage with this every single day for the rest of life, but how do I fix it so I'm free forever? Like that mindset is important. That really helped. Number two is get a coach, because a coach will tell you about yourself more than we would know, because they're getting it from a bird's eye point of view and they're an expert. They know. So that will always help. Number three, I'd say pranic breathing. So this is a simple breathing exercise, and it's the final thing, I don't want to overwhelm you, but the final thing I'll leave you with is this exercise of just breathing in for 6 counts, holding it for 3 counts, breathing out with your mouth for 6 counts, holding it for 3 counts is a life changer. That fucking one thing. Like, it can help you in job interviews, like just literally doing that like 5 times, 10 times
should we
before
do one?
you go
should
into
we do one as an example?
Let's go.
Let's do. All right, so you can lead it.
Okay, I'll guide you through it, yeah? Okay, so inhale slowly through your nose to the count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold 2, 3, and 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold 2, 3, and breathe normally.
Wow.
Just doing it once is sick, right?
Wow.
But doing it like over and over and getting into it, it's like
you feel like it's like when I only just did it once there, but it's almost like when I opened my eyes, I felt refreshed, like new almost. I just felt like, oh, okay, that was like a bit like someone just hit me with a jolt of something, like, okay, and obviously we've done that quite a lot before, and I know that how powerful it is to really just get you back to your senses, back to that element of calmness, and man, Mithu, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You smashed it today, Mithu.
You're very welcome, man.
Mithu,
it's very good.
I will just obviously you offer your own transformational services, so obviously if people want to talk to you more about what you offer and maybe come to you with their own problems, maybe they could talk to you about maybe you working with them or advising them on something, or you coaching them. Where can the people find you? Where can what's your Instagram, your handle? What's the best way to get hold of you to discuss things maybe more in a business sense?
So best thing to do is like go on my website, which is Inner Power Unlocked. That's INNER, Inner Power POWER Unlocked UNLOCKED, innerpowerunlocked.com.
Yep.
And you can go check, my, like, I have a little letter that I write to you guys, just explaining more about me, explaining how this works, and then you can just apply for a consultation. And then, if it's like a situation where I feel like I can help and I feel like it will resonate, then I'll reach out to you via email, and we'll go from there. But yeah.
Can you give an example of the kind of coaching that you've done before? So just so if someone's watching this, they can be like, oh, I could do with that, So what kind of things have you done before in some?
Ah, man, are you making me reminisce, baby?
Nothing
I'm
else
just
to
like an array of like people. I've had I don't know, I love it so much. Like I
Yeah,
work with
I know your
so many
passion.
like it's like sometimes it can be like such a deep thing,
Yeah,
like sexual assault, or sometimes it could be like something almost not even a big of deal. Like
yeah,
someone was like, "Oh, bro, when I get embarrassed, my face goes red." Like it can be as like light-hearted, as kind of funny as that, but it's like a
yeah,
problem. So I was like, okay, cool, let's release it. Or it could be like fear, phobias. That's a good one. Anything like letting go of shame around like sexuality, or shame around relationships, shame around whatever, like letting go of any kind of insecurity. That is because if you knew me, like I had to do that personally for myself, and I helped a lot of people do that for themselves.
of course.
Confidence, low self-esteem.
Yeah.
um I remember helping one person with like actually going out into, because they couldn't even go into a club because it was just so triggering for them to go into that situation. So literally going in the field and like giving them exercises to do, to go and socialize, go and um, meet people and have a great time.
Yeah,
Like all sorts. It just varies on the situation.
yeah.
Like
Oh man.
the more personal we think our problem is, the more universal it is.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
all one.
Yeah. Listen, I'm smiling because I just know how much helping people and
Mm,
coaching people means to you, and I
I
cannot
fucking love it.
recommend your services enough. I can't recommend your advice enough. I can't recommend just
Thank you.
reaching out to you for a chat enough.
Mm,
Um, absolutely. Innerpowerunlocked.com. It is what it is. I'm gonna put the website in the description. I'm also gonna put it on the screen. Mithu Surendra, thank you so much for joining me on episode 8. Do you have any closing words? Anything you want to
thank
say?
you.
Obviously, it's tough times right now.
Any closing words?
Any closing words?
If you can't go outside, go inside.
Hey.
That's my closing words.
Mithu, we need a thumbnail. So I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
We need, all right, so I'm gonna screenshot this page. All right, give me like a thumbnail face or something. I'm gonna
Hmm.
I don't know what to tell. I don't know what to do. Okay.
Just pick whichever.
Yeah, I got it.
Pick.
I got it.
Just pick one of those.
Yeah.
All right.
Mithu,
Yeah.
Mithu, thank you very much for joining me. Hopefully we'll talk again sometime.
Mm.
Stay healthy, stay blessed, stay inside. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you so much. You take care, okay?
Likewise.